All right, good morning. Good morning. Welcome, everybody, to the Saturday Morning Mastermind. I'm your host, Samantha Studebaker Carl. I'm broadcasting to you from beautiful Indianapolis, Indiana, and I'm here with my good friends, Catherine, Dan, Christina, Chris, and Sandy. And hopefully we're going to have a couple more people jump on with us because today is our last day of our study of the Tao Te Ching as interpreted by Wayne Dyer in his book, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao. So today we're talking about verse 81 of the Tao Te Ching. But before we get going with that, I just want to give everybody an opportunity to introduce themselves, and that will also give our other participants an opportunity to come on here as well. So go ahead, guys, jump out, tell us who you are, where you're from, and this is the last verse. Maybe you want to say a little something about this book at the same time. I don't know. You can say whatever you want to talk about.
I'll hop out. Good morning, Sandy Root here in sunny, hot, sweaty Miami Beach. And yeah, Samantha had mentioned to our group this morning that we've almost been in this book for 2 years. Can you believe it? So it's been a journey and excited to close it out and begin a new one.
Hey guys, I'm Christina Irvin in very never-ending rain this week, Northeast Tennessee, and very glad to be here today. Very glad to be at the end of the book. Very glad to be looking forward to another book, and I'm sure this will be a great discussion today.
Dan Sisek in muggy Las Vegas as we are in what we call our monsoon season now, where you get the La Nina or whatever flows and Santa Ana winds and stuff from California that bring all the ocean moisture up into us. So we tend to get a lot of mugginess and T-storms and stuff. And so it rained yesterday. So yeah, I've been thoroughly enjoying this book. I've gotten a lot out of this book and it helped remind me of a lot of things of how to approach some things in life and kind of bring me back to, looking at things from not just my point of view, but from other points of view. So, but also glad to be finishing it up and looking forward to getting into another book and moving forward. And yeah, it's surprising that we've been in this book over a year and a half. Didn't realize that we had been on this book that long. So looking forward to a great discussion.
Good morning. It's Catherine Clement in Boulder, Colorado. It's beautiful, sunny, slightly cool. We've had some snow up in the mountains already several times this year. So it's gorgeous Colorado weather. I just have come back from a month of traveling, so I haven't been able to participate for a while, and I'm really glad I made it back for the last day anyway. I, too, have really enjoyed this book and learned a lot and grown a lot, and I knew it was long and we'd been in here a while, but I had no idea it had been that long. That freaked me out when you said that this morning. I'm like, what? But it's always good to come fellowship no matter what book we're looking at. However, I am very excited about a new book, and we've done some voting on that, and we'll discuss some of the books that we were considering and the book that has won the vote. And so that everybody has a chance to get that book before we get started on it. And just happy to be back and really looking forward to today. Glad to be here.
Awesome to be here with you all this morning. Yeah, it's been quite a journey. I was thinking, I think I've been on almost as long as we've been doing the Tao Te Ching. It's been probably, I don't know when you started. It must have been just a few months before I got on. I thought you'd been doing it several years before. But yeah, I can relate to kind of what you're saying too, Christina. Like, it's a little hard to understand a lot of these verses. Although as we go on, you feel like, well, it'll make sense in bits and pieces, as we're reading a little bit. But in a way, as you were saying that, I was like, yeah, I feel like I know less about it than when we first started. It's like kind of mysterious, the whole thing. And I'm focusing on some new goals now in my life, so I may be taking a break for some time, and this will probably be my last day for a little while, and I'll try to come back when I can accomplish a few of my financial goals that are a sticking point for me right now. So I'm really grateful to have your company, and thanks for letting me be here today.
Oh my God, I'm so proud of all of us for getting through this book. It has been a very long journey, and and I hope everybody has gotten as much out of it as I have. I mean, I can't tell you how many life lessons that I have been through in the past almost 2 years that this book has helped me either push through them or overcome them or smack myself in the face with them. Whatever it is, it has just been an awesome and enlightening journey, and I'm so glad that you guys all shared it with us and with me, and I'm just very, very proud of all of us. So I don't know if Karen's going to be able to jump on there or not. She's having some trouble, so hopefully she'll be able to join us at some point. But so Tao Te Ching verse 81. I can go ahead and share my screen for that one, Catherine, and then somebody can volunteer to read it. Let me open it up here on the right background. Let's see, host disabled participant screen sharing. Okay. Oh yeah, I remember when you did that and why. There we go. Okay. There we go. Can everybody see that?
Yes, we had something shared on our screen that wasn't quite appropriate, so I had to start locking that down.
All right, so who wants to read this verse?
I'll read it.
Okey-dokey.
Tao Te Ching, verse 81. True words are not beautiful. Beautiful words are not true. Good men do not argue. Those who argue are not good. Those who have virtue do not look for faults. Those who look for faults have no virtue. Sages do not accumulate anything, but give everything to others. Having more, the more they give. Heaven does good to all, doing no evil to anyone. The sage imitates it, acting for the good of all and opposing himself to no one.
Thank you, Sandy. Isn't the first part of this verse, I felt like, it's sitting here and saying, true words are not beautiful, beautiful words are not true, and good men do not argue, and those who argue are not good. And I was thinking about that first part where it was saying, true words aren't beautiful. Sometimes the truth hurts, right? And then it goes on to say a truth that hurts, And I'm like, yeah, okay. So this whole arguing side of it, saying that, if you're arguing, you're not good. And I think that can be painful to get a big smack in the face saying, hey, wake up there. You're sitting here and you're arguing, so you're causing your own pain in your life, and you need to be aware of this. But it also kind of made me think about the fact that, it's kind of like calling you out, right? Let me get back. I think you can't see me, can you? Just see my screen. Let's get, how do I get off the screen share thing?
Should be there you go.
There we go. I just had to find the right button. There's Karen.
There, yay!
Yay! Can we hear you? Maybe not. Maybe she's still adjusting with her computer. Jump in whenever you feel like you can jump out there, Karen. We'd love to hear from you. So that was kind of my first thoughts on that verse, is it's just calling us out and saying, hey, sometimes you don't want to hear the truth because it's too painful, but yet you need to hear it, because if you don't hear it, you're not going to grow, right? That's kind of my thought. I feel like this whole thing has basically been telling us that, is that you need to wake up because you're causing your own discomfort. I don't know, what do you guys think?
I actually kind of took the whole verse to basically just mean what you see isn't always what you get, and what you think you're going to get isn't always what you see. Like, this thing can be a relative thing. But you know me, I'll be struggling with these verses sometimes.
Okay, I'm gonna jump out and I kind of in some ways I'm taking issue with this verse because it says true words are not beautiful, but yet there are true words, and there are true things that can be said and put out that are beautiful and that are virtuous and are and I don't think it's all true words. I think it's how you say it and the way you say it and how you present it, and that's how where it can lose its virtue or its um and that's when it can hurt and be painful. And yes, some true words are meant to call out and be used for the purpose, like you were saying, Samantha, but I think there are true words where you can really go out and honestly look at somebody and say, "Oh, you look, beautiful today," or "You look nice today," or and you're saying something that's true and that's genuine, but it's not arguing, it's not mean or anything. I think it's really a double-edged sword type thing. It's really, it depends on where your heart's coming from and what you put the meaning behind it. And I think that's what goes to the heart of the matter on that is, I don't think it's, um, and I think, like in the second one, good men do not argue. Those who argue are not good. I think again, it just, it just depends on what framage or what you're arguing about, or what you're, putting forth, or what you're trying to present, and how you present it, and again, where your heart's coming from. So that's where I'm coming from on that. So I'm not sure. I mean, that's me though.
Okay, I agree with that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It depends where you're coming from or what you're discussing. My friend made kind of an interesting post on Facebook, and it was posted by some online company or something, but it said when debates turn into arguments, and it was kind of talking about the difference between debate and argument, that people were able to debate for a long time, and then I don't know how it goes into argument, and they're kind of two different things. So I don't know. I don't know exactly what I think about it. I sort of think like what you were saying, Dan. It could go either way. So, and it depends what it's about.
Yeah, that stumbled me, the first two lines there. Like, I couldn't really pay attention to the rest of it while I was reading because I was so stuck on the first two lines. Like, because to me, the truth or true words, I think of, the divine. I think of the truth, like with a capital T, of the universe and stuff like that. So to me, I'm like, but those are like the most beautiful words if it's like truth with a capital T, from, creator, from God, divine, whatever you call it. So that's where, yeah, I got stuck on that. But yeah, when you mentioned, Samantha, about that the truth, sometimes speaking the truth to people may not be beautiful because it may not be what they want to hear, but it's still the truth in a certain situation. So yeah, that's a twisty first couple lines to get through.
Karen, I saw your box light up for a second. Can we hear you?
Can you? Hello, hello?
Yes, we can.
Okay, now I need to figure out if it's my phone or if it's my headset. So hold on. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you
Yep.
both ways.
Okay, I'm going to try and do it through my headset. Just a sec. Can you hear me now?
You're
Yeah.
not as loud, but yeah.
Yeah, we heard you better before, actually.
I think you're hearing me through my phone, and I don't like this. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you good now.
Yeah, it's through my phone, and I don't like this, and I don't like all the trouble it's taken for me to figure out how to get here. And yes, I was talking with Zoom support, and I don't handle trying to deal with 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people at the same time. So I apologize that I was quite ignorant and I know if I were younger, I would be typing and doing a zillion things at the same time, and it's just all I can do to just stay in my seat and try this, try that.
But you made it. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sure Lao Tzu didn't have me pictured.
Well done, Karen. We're glad to have you here, and we're glad that you went through that effort to get here. Because this being our last verse, I was going to be sad if you didn't make it, and I'm sure you would have been too.
Thank you.
So, Catherine, did you have thoughts on this verse when you first read it? Did you want to share your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I want to hear your thoughts, Karen.
I was just going to say I thought it really briefly, and I was still trying to figure out how to get on, because they were telling me I had the wrong ID numbers and all that kind of stuff. So I have no real clue. I have no idea. Thank you.
We can throw it back up on the screen. Let me see if I can get it back up on the screen so you can be looking at it while I'm talking about it. Can you guys see that?
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I kind of thought, especially those first two, kind of like you thought, Samantha, that, sometimes the truth hurts, or it's not really what you want to hear. These verses have been like so amazing. I can't really pinpoint what it is exactly about them that helps so much, but like you said, I've been traveling for the past month, and these verses and just having been involved with a mastermind, even though I wasn't able to be involved in the mastermind during the traveling of the month, if I hadn't been a part of this mastermind and really been working diligently on mindset, like I would not have made it through that trip. Because if you don't, most everybody knows that watches these, but if you don't know, I've been primarily in bed for about 12 years and just driving like less than 10 miles at a time because of pain and stuff. And I found this powder stuff that I take that helps the pain. It's a natural thing. It's not a pharmaceutical, but it actually helped me, and now I can walk and do all the things. Like I have enough pain control, and now I'm going to be able to do physical therapy and exercise and rehabilitate my body, because you lose a lot of muscle tone and things when you're in bed so long. But I'd only found that stuff about a week before I left, so when I went on this month-long road trip, I was driving with my dog. It was completely on faith. Like it was completely on faith. I didn't know if that kratom was going to keep working. I didn't know if the purple cushion was going to quit working. I thought I was going to have all this money coming in that didn't come in. I got attacked out in California, or actually my dog got attacked and then I wound up in the scuffle. But like so many times every day, sometimes multiple times a day, my mind was saying, you can't do this. Go home. Go back to bed. And I had to just keep saying, shut up. I am not giving up. Like, I'm doing this. I can do this. And I just, if it hadn't been for the consistency, yes, we've been on this book for almost 2 years, which totally blew my mind because I lose track of time. All my days blend together because I kind of just work around the clock. But the consistency maybe of even just doing that for 2 years, it's just the consistency of having mindset work in the forefront and committing to it and utilizing it when the shit hits the fan, for lack of a better word. I mean, because it's easy to talk about it, you guys. It's really easy to well, sometimes it's even hard to show up for a Zoom, but it's really easy to talk about doing this or doing that. But when things, when you're stuck out on the road and you don't even have gas money to get to the next gas station, or food, or, you're sleeping in your car or whatever, or somebody attacks you and suddenly you're, in this leg brace and on crutches trying to walk this dog. I mean, I had lots of opportunities to quit, and I totally have to give it up to this group and mindset work. And even if it wasn't, maybe the most motivating book, like as far as business, most of the books that we've done have been about business or entrepreneurship or mindset or things like that. Even though it hasn't been exactly goal oriented like that, there is just still something about this book that has stuck with me on a very, very deep level, and I'm really appreciative for it. And I know that our next book will kind of get us back more on the track that we started out on in this group, and our participation. We might even have some of our older members show up again. I would love to see that. They kind of checked out on this book, probably because they realized it was going to take 2 years. I never really thought it out that far. But whether you do it with us or you do it somewhere else, find a group, make it a part of your daily life, because life will happen, and it'll get you through. I mean, it got me through 8,000 miles of driving, you guys. 8,000 miles. Walking unlimited, like more walking in half of my day than I was used to doing in a week here. And if you can learn to control your mind, you can do pretty much anything, I think. I mean, there's some things you can't change. It's all up to grace and God. But if you learn to control your mind and tell it to shut up, like you said, Samantha, later on in the verse, it talks about heaven does no evil to anyone. And I believe that. Like, I completely believe that. And probably, to me, the biggest devil that we face is our mind.
Yeah, absolutely. That is, I agree with you, Catherine, that it's that inner talk that is the thing that causes us the most difficulties in our lives. It's not what is going on outside of us, it's how we think about what's going on outside of us that either helps us to overcome it or makes us so that we succumb to it. And this book has been a huge thing that has helped me through so many of those kinds of issues. And I think that it's like the beginning of this verse, and they're saying that true words are not beautiful. And I think that even though, yes, we can say beautiful words to one another, I think this is addressing the deeper kind of things. The life smacks in the face, when shit is not going the way you're expecting it to go. sometimes you need to hear those hard words in order to overcome it. And usually those words are not beautiful. And, which is why we have 10 million euphemisms for stuff that we don't want to face, right? It's because we don't want to hear the truth. I mean, and why? Why don't we want to hear the truth? Is it because we realize, okay, well, if I hear the truth, then I have to face it, which means then once I'm facing it, I got to do something about it, or stuck my head in the sand and pretend like it doesn't happen. So go ahead, Christina. I see you thinking.
I was in my mind, I was saying, okay, Christina, don't lose these 3 thoughts. I'm pretty sure I lost one of them, but let me say, going back to what you were saying a minute ago, Catherine, with the work that you've done with your mindset and everything and keeping you going, and then tying in what you were just saying, Samantha, about, crap, I lost it. Keep going. Oh, like then, once you realize something, then you have an obligation to do something about it. And I'm gonna tell you, girl, I was just having a conversation with self this morning, because y'all know Christina always talking to herself. And I was just having a conversation this morning. I was like, let's just keep it real, Christina. The growth that I've had over the past couple years has just been huge. And for me, it's been even just a relief to learn to be able to acknowledge that there's something there. And my old coping mechanism of, I'm going to act like I don't see this, or I don't feel this, or I don't think this, so that way I don't have to deal with it. Like now it's like, okay, chick, there's something there. What is the something? Do some exploration to find the something. Oh, okay, well, good. That's what that is. Now, see, sometimes this is where, for me, this is where we mess up, because we feel like we got to go fix it. We feel like we got to do something about the obligation to do something. When sometimes your obligation is just to recognize yourself. It's just to check yourself. And so I feel like, girl, because when you said that, like I got chill bumps. I was like, oh, no, this got to be said. Sometimes you don't have to do anything. Most of the time, you just got to sit there and be still and let it come. Let God, the light, whatever you refer to as your higher power, your faith source, let that do the working. Instead of you always feeling like you got to fix it just because you're addicted to being busy just to be busy. Hashtag just saying I'm done.
Well, I was going to say, I know for me that actually it's weird as I'm thinking about it. 2 books have kind of permeated into some of my thoughts and stuff. I didn't realize how they permeated, but how in the long run they've helped is, even though when we went through what to say to yourself when you talk to yourself, that book, not everything in there kind of moved over and pulled into my life, but certain things did. And I find myself at times, like you said, Christina, checking myself and going, okay, you need to change that thought, and you need to, work with that and change how you approach it with yourself. So saying that, and in this book, I think I've seen some things within the last couple months, and some things that that I've shared with a couple friends, and I've gone through a little bit of struggles, and I've had to work through those struggles because I couldn't really stick my head in sand, because it really dealt with relationships and friendships that were really important to me. And it had me to make me to really look at myself and how I reacted. And so some of the stuff in this book helped me learn to remember to be like water and kind of just, go where the flow goes and keep pressing forward, but change my approach maybe and stuff and how I go at it. And kind of like water, keeps, looking for the ways and crevices and over, under, around, whatever, to, keep reaching its destination. So I think that's kind of, like you, Catherine, there are some aspects of this book that have permeated into my life that I didn't realize how it permeated. And so it's like the book has helped and me not realizing it until kind of now coming full circle and realizing, kind of looking back, it's like, oh, okay, some of the things I've done and some of the things I've dealt with and some of the things I've gone through, some of the mindset things I've learned and some of the things and some through the books that I've been through here and books I've done on my own have helped. And so I think that's why I'm really liking this book and um, feel that it's really helped me. It's been a struggle. It's some of the verses that I'm like you, Christina, I've read and just gone, kind of scratched their head and go, what are you saying? Or, what am I supposed to get out of it? And I still don't think I've gotten everything. I still think there's a lot to be pulled out and just take and learn and uh, going forward, just put out there and go with life with.
I thought it was interesting in the epilogue, or is that what it was called? Yeah, the epilogue, and this book, because Wayne Dyer is talking about, he gets to the end of the book and he's thinking, okay, I've got this, right? Well, then this life situation hits him that he's like, what the hell? He doesn't tell us what the life situation is. He just says it's like flies in the face of everything, and he's struggling with it. And and so he tells us that he's struggling with it, and then he says, but then Lao Tzu kind of smacked him in the face and said this to him. This is what he feels like he was trying to tell him about this whole book. He says, so you think you've mastered the great way because you've spent a year reading and interpreting these 81 verses. Here's an opportunity to explore your mastery of the Tao. Here's something unexpected that's capable of turning you upside down and inside out, spiritually, physically, intellectually, and emotionally. Apply all that I've taught you. Stay peaceful. Trust your nature. Know that it is all perfect. And most of all, do nothing. Live the hidden virtue of the Tao. If you feel dragged into a war, refuse to have enemies. Don't have any violence in your mind. No revenge and absolutely no judgment. Do this while staying centered in the all-loving, all-knowing perfection of the Tao in the face of what you think is an insurmountable thing. Then you will be able to call yourself a man of the Tao. I just wanted to read that. I thought that was jumping.
That's awesome. That's another thing I've gotten from this book. I feel like I have Dr. Wayne in my pocket here.
I wonder if Karen has any thoughts now that she's read the verse and or if she's gathered her thoughts or if she's still working with tech support. I'd love to hear what her thoughts are.
I'm here, Dan. I've got. I was all silent. I just had things in good order. I've been up since 3. I've been out weeding, and I've sat down a couple of times to what I call my 30-minute intervals that Dr. Napoleon Hill talks about, so that you can kind of talk to your future self. And the way that Wayne Dyer described the upside down, inside out, all that kind of stuff, it doesn't take a lot for those things to happen for me. But the last part of the verse, I've kind of wondered whether or not to go ahead and say anything, because I do struggle. And I apologize for those that would prefer to not hear me say that I've been diagnosed bipolar for 30 years. But I need to tell you that it's like anything that you may have, that you may struggle with, that it is designed to teach you so that you can progress and so that you can wrestle with yourself, and so that you can all the things that we're here for. But I remember I was just thinking and trying to place it in a timeline. It was sliding into my last clinical depression. And of course, at the time, I didn't really see it that way. I didn't see that I was in trouble. And I was in a book group, and there were a couple of women, and I don't know if they were in the same church group or if they were in similar type church group, but they of course knew that, you know, generally most people look at me as being way far gone. And I said something having to do with the book and some of the comments that were there about, I said, God knows what's going to happen, and he could take care of it. He could make it so that we don't have these problems. And I mean, those girls nearly snapped their necks, turning to face me. I could tell that they just couldn't even believe I was saying what I was saying. And I realized that was kind of the beginning for me of how very, very negative I became in the clinical depression that I suffered after that, and the time since then, where I, you know, if we look at that, and I appreciate it, I think it was you, Sam, that said, or maybe it was you, Catherine, that, you know, there is no evil coming to us from the outside. And certainly, you know, God is not providing us evil. I know I was sitting here thinking, I want to be on this so much. I just spend entirely too much time by myself. And even though I can only see part of you as faces, I've never seen this before. I'm seeing little white round donut kind of thing for the rest of you. But it helps me so much to be able to hear your live voices. You know, I just appreciate being able to hear what you have to say and knowing that it's going along with what it is that I'm trying to get a good grasp on. I just wanted to be on so bad, and I had been praying, you know, from the time that I got up this morning, that my computer and my monitor's shaky, and so I can't hardly tell the numbers. I have to copy them and make them really huge so I can see, you know, what numbers I'm supposed to use. I'm just all over the place. I apologize for that. I really appreciate being reminded that it's within us. I was saying I didn't know who to attribute this to, Sam or Catherine, but it's in our minds. It's within us. It's within our programming. It's with little ways that we have interpreted things that have happened in our past, that we see difficulty having come from God, or even you know, from Satan, or wherever it might come. We need to understand, just as you did, Catherine, on your trip, and I'm so proud of you, and I'm so excited for you, and so thrilled that you've experienced what you have, and being able to walk and drive, and, you know, just saying to your mind, shut up, just leave it alone. I can do this. And that's what I'm saying about this going out there weeding for my son, and doing it in the middle of the night, so that I can somewhat bear the temperature that it is. And you know, my leg has been tied up with, I'm just not getting it enough exercise and blood. I sit here for hours and hours and hours, and then I can hardly move. I just have to keep in mind that this is how I've programmed me, the old me, and I want to come out of this into the new me, and I can only do that not blaming, not looking around, not blaming God, not blaming you, not blaming, you know, I just need to see what I've done to myself. I apologize for taking so long. Thank you.
No, Karen, we are so thankful that you were able to get on today, because what you just said there is profound, and I think that a lot of people need to hear that. And I'm so glad that you're on this journey with us, because we have learned so much from you as well. And I just love you, and I'm glad that you're here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Seb.
Yeah, and don't blame you either. Like, there's just no blame that needs to be put anywhere, really. You know what I mean? Like, and I just want to say I wanted to stop by and meet you in person so badly when I was driving across, but I was on such a time schedule to get to certain places that I had to be for certain meetings and stuff, that I had to push through a lot of places. And plus I had my dog, and so I was pushing through, you know, the over 100-degree weather just so that she could get out and pee without scorching her little paws and her big paws and her safety.
You know, your pee gets hot in this kind of weather too. It'll burn you. It would have been wonderful if you'd been able to stop. I would have loved that so much.
I was just gonna say, it's weird how I've learned something from all of you. Everybody has definitely impacted me, and but I liked hearing what you said just now, because it made me think of a comment that my roommate made last night about something that I had said, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but I said something, and he said something. Yeah, you're that way, and he goes, and you probably learned that from your mother, because I said my mother's that way, and I said I'm not to the same degree as my mother is, but and it made me really stop. And now looking back and going reviewing, it really made me think how much of our lives is programming that we get from when we're little, that's kind of established by the time we're like 4, 5, 6 years old, that we just carry on and perpetuate and build upon and stuff like that. And I think that's like you said, it's hard to, when we hear the truth from other people about ourselves, we want to tend to just say, well, that's the way I am, or that's or that's how I you know and to stop and realize, okay, yeah, right, that is the way I am, but I have the ability, and I can make the choice to make those changes. And through, like I said, the last few months, I've been trying to make some additional changes into how I operate, um, in certain areas and certain realms, because some of them have come to light and really, um, in some ways, cut to the core. Like I said, at this time, those they were not beautiful words, but they were truthful words, and they needed to be said to help me realize some things. And I'm slowly but surely trying to work on them. Yes, I slip back into old little things every now and then, but I have to be more mindful and conscious. And but when I go like, oh, wait a minute, this is not where I want to be. I want to move to this next level, to this better level. Um, it has come through from here, from this group, from the books we've read, and realizing that I do have that more control over things. And I do agree with what the book says. Um, all heaven, gives good things. It's the life out there and the circumstances and things going on around us, and the choices and things we make in those circumstances, that are where we reap the consequences of the choices we make. So, meaning whether when we make certain choices, we reap the bad choices that come from that. Um, and it can go from the littlest, slight little, slap on the wrist or something, to, for lack of better words, to something major where it's catastrophic, or, really does has an impact on the life. But it comes back, the universe, God, like whatever you call it, gave us that free will to make those choices, but we also, in making those choices, have to deal with those consequences. So if we don't want to deal with those consequences, really need to look at the what we're doing and take those thoughts captive and move forward with the better decisions that we have read and learned from the Tao Te Ching, in how to kind of pull ourselves out of it and look at it from a different level to move forward in what God, the universe, created and how we were meant to create and operate. That's, I think, what I'm trying to say.
I just say, sometimes people say things that trigger us for different reasons. Sometimes it's always to bring our attention to something. Obviously, if you get triggered over something, you need to be paying attention to what and why. But as sometimes, people say things and like you said, it reveals a truth about yourself that maybe you didn't see it or whatever. Other times people say things and it rubs you because that like that's their deal. Like I had this happen recently where somebody was being very judgmental against me and basically threatening me with hell. And and I was like, yeah, I'm really solid with God right now. Like he speaks to me in my ear. I'm feeling really good about the way things are, and so sometimes it can go either way. Like it can show you where you're not really being right, or it can show you that, yeah, you're right. And that's like their hang up thing or whatever that they've got going on. Either way, it makes you recognize something about yourself, and it's interesting because I was sharing a little bit before we started recording on this trip. I like went completely by faith on everything, that the kratom would work, that the pillow would work, that the money would come. Everything was by faith. And there were times that, the money wasn't there. And then like before I went on the trip, I was expecting thousands and thousands of dollars to be there about 2 weeks into the trip. So I knew if I could just get that far that I would be okay. But then like that didn't happen. But I was saying before I left for the trip, well, okay, about 2 weeks in, I'm going to have all this money or whatever. But even if I just had 1,000, like I could make the trip. Like I said that to myself in my head just to kind of, I don't know, put myself at ease or something. You know how we kind of sort of pre-plan and think things out in our mind, and we have plan B and plan C, or I'm really bad about that, and I'm constantly warning my son about that because he's even worse than I am. So I said in my mind, okay, well, 2 weeks in, I'm going to have all these thousands of dollars, but even if I only have 1,000, I'll be okay. Well, guess how much I got? 1,000. Guys, really be careful about what you say and what you plan for, because I think sometimes we think that we're planning to maybe because we can't go completely on faith or something. I don't know. Like we feel like it's up to us to make it happen or whatever. Like you were saying earlier, Christina, we think that we have to take that action. Sometimes we don't have to take that action. We just need to allow grace to come in for that shit to happen, right? So be careful what you plan for, because you just might get it.
So true. Well, this has been a good conversation. I've been going through my own process in the past half hour. I happened to look at my Instagram and I saw a picture that triggered me. And as you were talking, it was sort of helping me look at it like, okay, why am I being triggered? And when you were talking, Dan and Catherine, just now, I'm like, oh, okay. It was like I was being counseled by listening to you guys while I'm in my own world over here. Like, why is this triggering me? What? Blah, blah, blah. And I realized like it's a pattern that's repeated from the past of why it's triggering me now. And it doesn't need to be triggering me now because it has nothing to do with anything really. So it was interesting watching my process through this hangout. Because at first I'm like, why am I even looking at the phone? I'm supposed to be present. This is what the book taught me, right? Be present. And we had that, the last hangout or one of the previous recent hangouts about, being peaceful and And we were talking a lot about how we get distracted by these things so much. So I'm like sitting here, well, I shouldn't even been looking at the phone. I should be present, paying attention to my friends here. And then I'm triggered, like, okay, so I'm better now. But yeah, I just wanted to say that this book has really, it's been amazing. What a journey. I feel like a lot of times when we would come, the verse was exactly what I needed to hear in that week. And for many of us, I think we felt like that, like it was like, wow, like it was exactly talking to our life in that moment of whatever was going on in our lives. And every week I'm like, wow, like, so it was almost like just the divine timing that we picked this book. I think also for what's going on in the world externally, there were moments where some of the verses were talking about politics and, stuff like that. And so when it was like spot on, like the timing of it, sometimes I'm like, wow. So it's been an amazing journey. And for such an ancient text, how it can apply today, these teachings. And sometimes it seems like some of the teachings maybe don't apply because we're such in different times with technology and population and so much changes in the world. But when we really break it down, everything in here can apply to all times. And it's such an amazing book. And thank you to Wayne Dyer for his commentary, because if we just read the Tao, I think I'd be like, what is he talking about? But when Wayne breaks it down, it's really helps you see different perspectives. And of course, hopping on here, we all have different perspectives to share and bring out different points and be enlightened in different ways. So everyone's input is really amazing. And thank you, Wayne Dyer, for all you brought to the earth, all the amazing teachings you brought, and bless your soul wherever it is now. And thank you. So it's been great, and love you all and everyone who watched and participated on this long journey. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I want to second that appeal to praising Wayne Dyer, because I remember going on PBS. It must have been 1.5, 2, possibly 3 years ago, and I was watching a program, and about halfway into the program, it was one of his regular programs you see on PBS, and about halfway in the program, they mentioned that he had passed several months before. And that kind of like shocked me. I was like, whoa. Now I seen like the Tao Te Ching probably 30 years ago, quite a long time ago. So and I've been very into philosophy and yoga, and it's been a big part of my life. And I remember when I was watching that episode, I remember thinking, wow, Wayne Dyer is like totally one of the kind of people I really looked up to as far as life path, someone that I resonated with. So I think that was even more of a draw than even knowing it was Tao Te Ching. I just liked the fact that it was Wayne Dyer. Him and Joseph Campbell comes to mind too. Someone just right up my alley. So it really seemed like a right way for me. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Was somebody else jumping out? It's okay for me to go. Okay.
But yeah.
So, wow, that's, I'm having rushed thoughts today. So listen, I'm just going to say this for me. I think this was a lesson in, you don't always have to be down for something or just be in love with something to get value from something. Because I think there's no secret, I've really not enjoyed this book. And for some reason, Wayne Dyer has just never, none of his content has ever really moved me, if you will. It's actually mostly been like something that hasn't really gotten into me like it has everybody else's experience. That said, there's still value that I've been able to get from some of his content. And I think too often we want things conditionally. It's easy to, I'm only recently learning the whole truly what unconditional love feels like, and how to actually give unconditional love. And so often when we come into something, we want it on our terms. We all know I hate reading. To be honest, how can a person with all the education, everything I have, hate reading? Well, I do. I hate reading. So if it's not an audiobook, I just like, right? But it's the notion that we have to come to something and love something, or it has to come wrapped up in our convenient little box and feed us the way we would prefer to be fed. Gosh, that is such a limiting way to go about things, don't you think? And so for me, I think one of the biggest lessons that I've gotten out of the content, and some of it, like once I was able to get through it, I was like, yeah, I'm feeling that but it's been a really a testament to actually implementing, not putting conditions on giving and receiving.
Okay, I'm going to jump out and I'm going to say something and hope you understand where I'm coming from with that. But when you were saying, Christina, that, okay, you're not really a reader or you don't like reading and based on all your stuff, and maybe you had a preconceived idea of what the book was really about, and so maybe you limited yourself on opening yourself to what the book had, and maybe that's part of why you had troubles with it. Because I know there are certain things I don't like in certain ways of how I like to be things presented to me, and I've had to kind of look at that within myself too, based on going through some of, like when we did the book, What to Say to Yourself When You Talk to Yourself, and going through this book, it's kind of challenged me and pushed me out there and made me look at some of my relationships and some of my past and how I viewed things in my past. And I think, the more I open myself up to looking at that, that's where I grew and that's where I gained some valuable insights into how I operate. Because I've always operated with myself in the way I operate, but in going into me in some aspects has brought out some things by hearing some of the truths I've had to hear lately from some friends and people I really care about. And it also has tested my ability to love unconditionally and openly. And it was very painful, but through it, I got so much out of learning and letting that experience and letting how it came to me open me up. So in that sense, I think by not shutting out the ways and hows and means of how I like things presented to me, I've grown so much more. And I think maybe that's something that we all can learn and live with and work with. And part of that came from this book, and part of it came from dealing with people, and part of it came from this mastermind. So it's come from all sorts of different little areas and opened me up to not staying like this with my blinders on, that, okay, unless it's this type of way of how I receive it, I don't want to receive it. And so that's what that's what's helped me. And I think, if you broaden yourself in that respect, you'll gain a lot, so much more, and it will help you add to everything that you've grown and learned and taken in, and in that respect. And because you're an awesome person, I think you have lots of great viewpoints, and what you bring and what you add to the group just helps and feeds me and adds to me. So that's just my little bit I wanted to share.
No doubt. I actually think we said the same thing. But yeah, my not really just loving his content really has nothing to do about blocks or, preconceived notions of what it is. It just happens to be anytime I try to get into his content, I have the same response. It just doesn't speak to me. Doesn't mean the message isn't good. You can go to 3 different churches and listen to 3 different pastors, and the first two are going to be like, whatever, you're not feeling it. And the third one just has the way of delivering it, or the words of delivering it that speaks to you. That's all it is. There was no block to it in the respect. And I didn't discount it such that I didn't get anything out of it, I think is what I'm saying. But ultimately, I heard what I heard, and I could be wrong, but it was that we said the same thing.
I think I know. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. I know we're running late, but that's okay because it's the last day. But I did just want to give both Christina and Dan especially kudos for sticking with us on this book, because I know he wasn't your favorite author. I know that Dan, this was kind of out of your comfort zone, so to speak, when we first started out, and we did lose some members that we had for a long time, when we chose this book. And so I just want to really thank you guys for sticking with it and being open, and even though not your favorite author or whatever, still being open to the lessons. So bravo for you guys.
I forget what I was going to say, but it was something like, I get both of your points totally. Like I think there's things that can appear in our lives that I guess it's either, we can be resistant to it, but looking at that resistance, okay, why is there a resistance here? And maybe it is just, okay, I don't resonate with this. It's not speaking to me in the way that I can receive it. And, but then there's times too where there's a resistance because of something, and if you break through that resistance, then you receive something like, wow. So I see what you're both saying, and yeah, we know within ourselves what that really is, if it's a resistance or it's just, I just don't resonate with this at this time, so good points, and thanks for sharing that. It's a vulnerable thing to share, so thank you.
Karen, were you going to jump out there? I thought I saw you light up there for a sec.
Well, I have no control over that, and I'm just kind of buzzing along. I thank you. I can't think of anything.
Okay, you guys, I love you a lot, and I'm gonna have to sign off because someone's asking me for a store key, which I don't have anyway because I gave it away last week. But they're trying to get in the store. I can't thank you guys enough, and I will try to come around when I can, and everything's good, and I'm highly grateful, and thanks for being my friends and letting me be a part of this. Love y'all. All right, bye.
We love you too, Chris.
Good to have you on, Chris. Glad to know you and have you participate with us. It was awesome. Oh, guys. Today we have shared some significant, every time we get on here, we share some really deep thoughts and some powerful lessons that anybody who's watching this could gain great things from. But I'll tell you, even if nobody else watches it, I've gained so much from it. And but I know there's going to be people that watch this and they are going to wish that they had been a part of it, But the great thing is it's out there, and we have all of this value that we've put out into the world, and that's how we're working to make changes in our observation of the universe. And I'm loving it. And I wanted to mention also that not only have I experienced growth within my own personal life and within myself, but I have seen it in the other people in my life. And that is something that they have not taken action on and done something specific, but yet just by me doing this work, I've seen the growth in other people. And that's pretty profound in my thoughts, because if I can see the growth, I can see the change in other people, then how much more have we affected out there in the world that we haven't even seen yet? It's like that. Here we are, we're dropping our little rock in the lake, and the ripples are going out, and I can only imagine where what changes and how we've helped people. I hope for those of you who are watching that if you experience some kind of life lesson, you anything, you learn something, you experience something, whatever it is, that you'll reach out to us and share that with us, because I would love to hear from you, and I know that we all would. But I think has everybody has everyone shared what they want to share?
Jason just messaged
and wrap it up,
Jason just messaged and said he woke up late, but maybe he wants to jump on for a quick minute and say hi, or I don't know.
Hey, Jim. I don't know.
I told him to jump on.
Yeah.
I did already. I told him jump on. We're still here. But I don't know if he'll get on. But because I know all of us could keep going forever, once we get started. Like I said, this mastermind overall, the reason why I'm still here is because it always impacts me and always helps me and helped me grow from the very first time. What, about 4 years ago or so now, Samantha? Something like that. I've been on this mastermind for quite a while, so on that sense, that's why I keep coming back, because of the value and what I get and what I learn and what teaches me and how I can implement it. Because, and yes, there are books that I'm not always the most open to jumping into and stuff. And I'll admit, when I first thought about this book, I wasn't. And that was because I didn't know how it would coincide with a lot of my thoughts and my beliefs and what I believe, in my core. But I noticed how much it kind of helped and augmented and brought things to even a better picture for me. And that's why now, as I've gone through the book, it's like, oh, wow, okay. And I'm glad I did. I mean, I'm glad I pretty much stuck it out. I missed it, here and there, like we all did. We all had life going on. But in the overall scheme of things, it just, began to resonate. Like I said, when I was first going through it, not all of it resonated, but as I opened and grew more into it, it helped add to everything and brought things to a more better light on something. So that's why I'm glad I stuck through this book especially.
So what book are we going to, and when are we going to it, Samantha?
Yes, we got to get to that. I was just trying to look for my YouTube channel that I started this Saturday morning mastermind on, to see how long we've been doing this, because I want to say it's been like 5 years. It may be longer. I can't remember what year I started it, but not all of the videos are on the Mindset Mastery Collective channel. Some of them are on one of my older YouTube channels. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I just wanted to, let me get my screen open here and get over
it has to be about 5 years if we've spent almost 2 years on this one book, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was sitting here thinking, I'm trying to remember if it was the beginning of 2013 or the beginning of 2012 when I first started, but I can't remember. I'll find out.
I think it was late 2012, because I had just started into some of the things I started into and found you guys after I was involved with Paul Hutchings.
And so you remember finding us back in 2012?
I think it was late 2012.
Okay,
maybe so early 2013, something. But
okay,
that just sounds.
Then that means that I started it in early 2012, because I started back in like March of the beginning of whatever year that was. And I think it may have been 2012. So, wow. I don't know. When we get to 10 years, we'll have to do some big massive party or something.
Well, we have to definitely all get together. But that's a testament to this mastermind. Wow. I mean, the only other mastermind I know of that I think have been going a little bit longer is Paul Hutchings with his Think and Grow Rich call. I mean, and they do different books and they do different things. So I know in that sense, that's a testament right there, just to, the heart and soul, I think, of what you started and how it's grown and added
That's
people left, and things like that.
What was that, Sandy?
I'm in shock that it's that long. I can't wrap my head around it.
I know, right? It's like, really? Has it been that long? I think it may have been, but I'll look and then I'll let you guys know. I'll see when I made the first one. I have to go back and find it, but okay. So let's see the next book. All right. So in our Facebook group, and by the way, if you're watching this, you can find our Facebook group because with the link below this video on YouTube, or just search for Mindset Mastery Collective on Facebook and you'll find us. Anyway, so we put a few books in here, and the one that got the most votes was The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. So everybody needs to go get The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And I think we're going to take a 2-week hiatus before we start up the next one, just to give everybody plenty of time to go order the book or go out and get it on their schedule or whatever, and read that first chapter so that we'll have something to talk about on that next Saturday. So let me look at the calendar here and see when that will be. So if we today's the 12th, so if we take the 19th and the 28th, 26th off, then that will bring us back on September 2nd. Is that Labor Day weekend? I think it is.
Yep.
It is. Everybody cool with starting up the next one on the Saturday, September 2nd? I can't hear you, Christina, if you were just speaking. I saw your lips moving, but...
I was talking to myself because I was like, I'm trying to figure out where I put my thing so I can write it down September 2nd.
September 2nd.
So we're going to because that'll give plenty of time to get the book.
Yeah, so that'll give us plenty of time to get the book and read the first chapter. I have no idea. Dan, you said that you have this book already. Are the chapters very long, or tell us a little bit about this book if you have it handy so that we can get a heads up on that. Are we going to have to split the chapters and do half one week and half the next week? What do you think? Are they long? I see it. So it's not a real big book, so that's great.
It'll take us 2 years.
It shouldn't take us 2 years.
Well, in all fairness, guys, when we started that book, the Tao Te Ching, remember we thought we were going to be able to do like 4 or 5 verses a week?
Yeah.
We had no idea it was going to take like 81 weeks or whatever, right?
Yeah. I thought that might be a possibility, but I was, optimistic that we could cover more than one at a time. And then after we talked about the first one and it took us 2 weeks to get through it, I was like, okay.
Well, that's because we had none of us. Yeah, none of us had a clue of the depth that was in there.
Mm-hmm. All right. So how long is the first chapter? How many pages is it? Is it like a really long one, or it's just a few? Can't hear you. You're not muted. You're muted.
First chapter is 8 pages.
8 pages. Okay. So we'll try 1 week and see how it goes. Everybody read the first chapter.
There are a total of 13 chapters, but basically they're pretty small, decent-sized chapters. So,
okay.
7, 8 pages. One that's maybe 14 and 15, but
okay.
I started reading it and stuff, and like I said, what I've read, I've liked it, and it's definitely a mindset in doing, getting into building steps and processes.
Okay. All right. So
is there like a little paragraph on the back page or the book or something that kind of sums it up for people? Or
yeah, you could read that to us. That'd be great.
Okay. Yeah. Let me go to the back. The Slight Edge makes you aware of the unwritten rules that we all live by and just weren't aware of. Jeff explains these principles in an easy to understand manner that will have you reevaluating those insignificant decisions you make every day. But that's dealing with like business type things, stuff like that, and life things. But just kind of, it's like a lot of other personal development books and stuff, because when I've read it, I'm like, oh, if I just do these little steps every day, I build into making those steps what I need to do every day and stuff like that. And the power, that's what hit me, was the power of doing the little things every day. Not that you do these big things all at once, you power it down into little things. So I think that's what, he gets into. And, things about, like it's never too late to start. It's always too late to wait, things like that. So, I've got some notes in here on things I've already written and stuff. How things are easy if you don't make it hard, kind of that kind of concept and things like that, you know. But, things we all have learned and stuff, but, always good to revisit and always, good to learn new ways of looking at it too, And I think it's been a good book, the little bit that I've read and started. Like I said, I started and then I got busy with life, and now it's like, oh, good, we're coming back to it. So now I have a focused, getting through it and stuff like that. But now I got a question. Can people still order it through that Powell Books or whatever link that you've had on the...
Probably. I will have to go and see if that site has the has that book, and if so, I can find the affiliate link for it. Then that'll be great. Unless, does anybody have an affiliate account with Amazon? Because I lost mine a couple years ago. And if you wanted to, Dan, if you want to grab the affiliate link from Amazon and post it in the Facebook group for everybody to buy through Amazon, and then the proceeds from that book or whatever, you could donate it to Mindset Mastery Collective for going towards maintenance of the website or whatever else we need,
Before I say yes, let me double check and make sure I still like you. Let me make sure
okay, that's fine.
Still have my
Message me or
affiliate.
message us in the chat or whatever.
I will.
And yeah, because I don't know. I tried to get a new Amazon affiliate account for Mindset Mastery Collective, and it didn't like me for some reason. It didn't like us. I don't know. Even though I mean,
Amazon has gotten ridiculous about that.
Yeah.
I've thrown up my hands. I'm not even trying to mess with y'all anymore.
Right. It's kind of annoying. Yeah. I don't know. I'll look on the Powells, and then I'll look on, Dan, you want to look on Amazon, check your account and that kind of thing. And I've tried to find like another place where you can order books and 10 million other things, but
well, it's not on Audible.
What?
It's not on Audible.
Oh, dang it!
But that's okay because I've got this one, so.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
But darn.
All right, guys. What was that?
But darn.
No, what?
I was like, but darn, it's not on Audible.
Oh, frustrating. Did you find it in another audio version somewhere else?
That's a good idea. Let me look for it.
Okay.
Yeah, or
even, it's on YouTube.
Maybe
even go on
somebody will have
YouTube. Maybe
narrated
somebody
it on YouTube. You never know.
Somebody had to. If not, somebody needs to. There's an idea for you, Christina.
There we go. You can read it out loud in a recording on a video, and we'll put it on our, I'll make a playlist on a Mindset Mastery Collective YouTube channel. Okay. All right, guys.
Solution to a problem.
There we go. All right. Well, I've got to go.
Guys.
Got stuff to do. I know everybody does. So thank you guys so much. And before we stop the recording, for those of you who are watching and you want to participate with us, my God, connect with one of us. Message their YouTube channel. Jump on Facebook. There will be a link below in the comments or the description where you can connect with us in our Facebook group. We'd love to have you. And that's it. We love you. Have a great, awesome, amazing week. And we will see you on September 2nd, 2017 for our next book, which is Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Look forward to it. And thank you all so very much. Love you.